Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather with Sim again. It is January 7th, 2025, and I hope you guys are all having a great day so far. And in today's forecast, we are going to be going over what we can expect for the next several days, including a significant winter storm that's going to be rolling on through as we get into the later part of this week and perhaps even into the beginning of next week, as heavy snow, sleet, and even freezing rain does appear to be a possibility. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel as we upload every day, and of course we even will keep you guys updated with the latest on these significant winter storms that are getting ready to roll on through. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up too as well. Those help out more than you know. And of course, leave any questions, comments, or concerns that you guys have down below. Feel free to leave anything down below, and I'll get to those right after today's weather forecast. But let's first start off by giving you guys an overview about what to expect. And as you guys can see, for the next couple of days, we are going to be tracking that significant winter storm that will likely be impacting Arkansas, northern Louisiana, parts there of northern Texas, including the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and as well as parts there of southern Oklahoma, especially the southeastern part of Oklahoma. We'll need to keep an eye on this very closely, as we could even be seeing that potential for even some freezing rain embedded in this. We also got to watch even these areas out there in the western United States, as we got those high wind watches and warnings in effect, and we even do have some fire weather warnings also in effect, as critical fire weather conditions are definitely looking likely out here. So make sure you're being on high alert if you do live around the Los Angeles area, as we will likely be seeing those critical fire weather conditions for today. And same goes with Los Angeles, and as well as back over there towards Las Vegas, where we also got those high warnings also in effect. You guys who are under those winter weather advisories will also need to watch closely, as we also are continuing to also see a little bit of that winter storm, or at least a little leftover piece of it, still bringing a little bit of impacts to parts there of Virginia especially. But it's definitely something to continue to watch for, as most of this winter storm should be out of here later today, especially because most of it has already headed out of here already. But like I said, we will watch the remains of it, as it will still bring a little bit of impact over there in Virginia. Now, let's talk about this significant winter storm that will be coming later this week. And as you guys can see, we will need to watch this storm very closely, as areas anywhere from the Dallas-Fort Worth area all the way back over there into the Lower Ohio Valley, and as well as the northern Dixie Valley region, will likely experience that heavier snow, freezing rain, and even that sleet as we head into later this week, like I said, and even into the weekend, as this storm really does look to bring those impacts. So make sure you guys are being on high alert with this system, as I do think Dallas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and even parts there, Missouri, will likely see quite a bit of snowfall from this system. And of course, that system will continue to bring those chances for snowfall, especially as we get into Saturday later this week on January 11th, as we will continue to see some pretty heavy snowfall. And it looks like the snow is going to be the heaviest on the northern side of that system as it continues to move eastward, with still that chance for even some freezing rain on the southern side of that system as well. So make sure you guys are all being on high alert out there, and of course paying attention to the system, as I do think we could be seeing some significant impacts from this winter storm as it gets ready to roll on through. And of course, we'll even be tracking that potential for some more freezing rain as this even gets ready to head over there into Virginia, and as well as into the Carolinas, as I do think we are going to continue to see that potential for some heavy snowfall, and like I said, even that freezing rain, and that looks to be as we get into Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and so we will need to watch it very closely, as we could really be seeing quite a bit of freezing rain and as well as quite a bit of heavy snowfall. And of course, this even shows it becoming a nor'easter, or at least the potential for a nor'easter, as it heads off the coast, and this looks to be more towards Saturday night and into Sunday morning this weekend, as we get into January 11th and as well as into January 12th. So make sure you guys are watching these areas very closely, as I do think we could be seeing very heavy snowfall even across the New York City region, and that's mainly because, like I said, this is going to have the potential to become a nor'easter, but that still remains very uncertain though, especially if we compare that to the European model, as the European model shows this low much farther down to the south and also does not show that winter storm, or at least not that heavy snowfall as far north as what the GFS model was showing. So definitely a little bit of a different story with the European model than with the GFS model, but still shows a similar situation to those areas down here into northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, and as well as into northern Georgia. And since that low is a little farther down to the south, it's more than likely just going to head off the coast like this, as that jet stream is kind of shaping up like this, which is just going to lead it right off the coast and not necessarily bring any impacts up the east coast. So like I said, a little bit of a different scenario with the European model, but it does want to show similar impacts to those areas, especially far down to the south like Dallas, back over there into Tennessee, and that's going to be as we get into Saturday. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at how much freezing rain and also how much snowfall we can expect with this system as it rolls on through later this week and as well as this weekend. And as you guys can see, looking at the national blend of all models, pretty much adding all of the freezing rain the models show and pretty much creating an average amount. And as you guys can see, we will be tracking that potential for at least 1/100th of an inch, if why not up there towards a 1/10 of an inch in some areas, especially where you see those darker pinks. So we will need to watch this very closely, especially because it does show some widespread freezing rain potential. It's just that it doesn't show a lot of it, which means we don't have very good model agreement, given the fact that the average amount of freezing rain is pretty low for a lot of these areas. But it is something to keep an eye on closely, as I do think some areas might even reach a 1/4 of an inch, depending on how the storm looks as we get into the weekend. But as of right now, our main focus is anywhere from a 1/10 of an inch to a 1/4 of an inch at the most, by looking at the national blend of all models. And then if we look at your total snowfall, pretty much the same thing. Our snowfall amounts, or at least our average snowfall amounts, are not as high either, as it only shows anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of snowfall across much of this area, maybe even a little bit of isolated higher totals in some of those areas. So definitely also looking uncertain with the snowfall, as once again snowfall amounts appear to be staying lower too as well, especially because we don't have very good model agreement on the snowfall either. But it's definitely something to watch for, as I do think anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of snow could occur in some areas. But as of right now, it looks like we're mostly seeing those average amounts anywhere between 1 inch to 3 inches across most areas. So definitely not looking like a lot, but definitely looking like something to watch for, especially as we get into this weekend, and like I said, maybe even into the beginning of next week. Now, the next thing that we're going to be looking out for is those colder temperatures, especially as we get into the next few days. Now, we probably should have looked at this before, but we were first talking about that winter storm, and at the same time, we will be tracking those well below normal temperatures across much of the eastern United States, as we're just going to have that huge shot of cold air move on down from the north, which does look to bring that potential for even temperatures getting all the way down there into the negatives. So definitely something to really keep an eye on closely, especially as we get into Thursday of this week, which will be January 9th, 2024. Not 2024, but 2025, as this cold air is really going to be a pretty dangerous and life-threatening threat, as we could be seeing temperatures get down there into the negatives, like I said, with maybe even some wind chill values getting well below zero, which, like I said, is quite life-threatening, especially because it could cause a frostbite in minutes, depending on how cold those temperatures really get. And same goes as we get into the middle of January. This still is going to remain uncertain, but I definitely do think we could be seeing another huge shot of cold air roll on down from the north, which could be bringing those temperatures in the negatives across much of the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and maybe even as far down south as the deep south, especially as we get into Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. And so this is going to be something to keep an eye on, as this cold air is just going to continue to surge on down as we get into the middle of January. So definitely something to get prepared for, as like I said, for how cold these Arctic blasts and polar vortexes could be. We could be seeing those frostbites in minutes, especially if you're not wearing very warm clothes outside. So that is something to get prepared for, as this cold air is going to be very dangerous as it rolls on through. Now, some of you guys are probably asking, will we see another winter storm right after this one? And the answer is maybe. We do need to watch maybe another storm closely as we get past the middle of January, and maybe even as far late, or at least as late as January 19th. So pretty much in between January 15th and January 19th is when we may need to watch for another big winter storm to roll on through. Now, this one does not appear to be as certain as of right now as what we are going to be tracking later this week, but it is something to keep an eye on closely, as we could be seeing another big winter storm roll on through sometime in January, as it could definitely bring some similar impacts as what we will likely be seeing with this winter storm later this week. So make sure you guys are all being on high alert for the winter storm later this week especially. But like I said, it still also remains uncertain with this one too as well. So obviously take this one that I'm showing you right now with a grain of salt, as this is over 10 days out. Now, the final things we're going to look at is your total freezing rain and also your total snowfall. And as you guys can see, starting off with your total freezing rain, there's anywhere from now all the way to January 13th. And as you guys can see, we are going to be tracking that huge corridor of freezing rain. And like I said, when we were taking a look at the national blend of all models, did not show as much freezing rain. And if you compare the national blend of all models to the GFS, it actually shows a lot more, especially because we're seeing those darker pinks even start to show, which could maybe indicate up there towards 1/4 of an inch of freezing rain. So make sure you guys are really keeping an eye on this closely, as even though we don't have a very good model agreement on the winter storm layer this week, this will definitely become a pretty dangerous situation, as I do still think we will see somewhat freezing rain and also somewhat snowfall. It just remains uncertain on how much of each we'll see. So obviously make sure you are watching it closely, and maybe wait another day or two before you get prepared, because things could still change. And then as we look at your total snowfall, I wanted to head a little far out with the total snowfall, because I was a little curious on that snowstorm later in January that I showed you to take with a grain of salt. And as you guys can see, we will be tracking a lot of snowfall out there to the west, and same goes over here in the east, where we will be tracking a lot of snowfall. And like I said, with that winter storm to take with a grain of salt, which was over 10 days out from now, it could definitely bring some snowfall up there in the northeast. It's just going to remain very questionable on what exactly we'll see with that system, so we'll keep an eye on it closely. But it obviously does look to change a lot, and same goes with the one layer this week too as well. But I definitely want you guys in Dallas to be on high alert, as we could be seeing some areas get up there towards 1/2 foot of snowfall, as we definitely could even see this winter storm strengthen a little bit. It's just going to remain uncertain whether we will get 1/2 foot of snowfall, or whether we'll get, anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of snowfall, which is what was shown on the national blend of all models. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's weather forecast. Consider subscribing to the channel, as we upload every day, and of course we'll keep you guys updated with the latest on the weather weather, so make sure to subscribe if you haven't done that already, so that way you can also stay informed on this channel. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up as well. This helps out more than you know. And of course, leave any questions, comments, or concerns that you guys have down below. Feel free to leave anything down below, and I'll get to those comments in just a second. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.